All right, anyway, so the lesson we're going to do tonight, and for those who already saw, we voted on this. We enjoyed some democracy. It's very rare. It's usually a dictatorship. But I'll let y'all have some democracy. And y'all chose to do a lesson on the worldview, the belief system of atheism. Now, in case I'm curious to ask this question. Do y'all know what the word atheist means? The word itself, if you were to break it down. I want to see. I just want to know. Huh?
Wait, I know it. Where you don't believe in God.
That is what that means. Yeah! So the word atheist is broken down in two parts. Y'all ready for this? It's going to blow your mind. The letter A, okay, in Greek, is a negative. That means not or not having this, not believing in this. And then theist or theos means God. So atheist is somebody who does not believe in God. Atheist, without God. Okay? Now I want to make this important distinction because there's another kind of word out there that you may have heard. It's called agnostic. That does not mean the same thing as an atheist. An atheist is a person who says, I do not believe that there is a God. An agnostic is somebody who does not know what they believe. It's a person who says, you know what, maybe there is a God, maybe there's not. I don't know what my opinion is. And agnostic means without knowledge. Okay, so atheist means without God, and agnostic means without knowledge. I don't know what I believe about God. Have I lost y'all yet? Or are we all on the same page? Okay, it's really hard Greek words and stuff like that, you know. So I gotta go slow. Gotta go slow. I have some slow learners in here. All right. Okay. Anyway, so far I want to make that distinction because not everybody who says I don't know if I believe in God is necessarily an atheist. They may be open to believing in God. They would just like to study it more. They would like to see some more evidence. But atheists are people who are confident in their belief that there is not a God. They're usually not as open to hearing evidence that there is one. Just like if you are a Christian and you follow Christ, I would hope that you have some sense of, I'm not going to easily give up my belief just because somebody says something different. If somebody came up to you and said, hey, do you believe in God? And you said, yes, of course I do. I'm a Christian. And they said, well, you shouldn't because that's ridiculous. Is that going to make you not believe all of a sudden? No. Well, of course not. Well, guess what? Going up to an atheist and saying, hey, do you believe in God? And they go, no, I don't believe in God. And you go, well, you should because that's ridiculous. Is that going to make them change their opinion? No. But, unfortunately, some Christians, that's the best they can do when talking with an atheist. Is say, well, you should believe in God. Well, you should believe in church. And those things may be true. But can you prove to them why they should? Can you have a conversation with a person who doesn't believe in God and give them reasons for why they should believe in God beyond just because I said so? That's the point of this conversation tonight. So we're going to go through and see what an atheist believes about the world. That's why it's a worldview, what their views are about the world. And then we're going to go over 3 specific beliefs atheists have, and I'm going to give y'all arguments that you can use to help that debunk or disprove those atheist beliefs. Y'all got this. Y'all got it. So if you want to take notes, maybe you guys have a friend, family member, a teacher who doesn't believe in God. And you have never known how to have a conversation with them. This is going to help you tonight if you are willing to take notes and keep it locked in. You need a pen or you need to pee?
I need a pen.
Okay. Well, if you were saying you need to pee, I was going to make fun of you because, wow. Yes.
Do you have any more notebooks?
Yes, right here. If y'all would like a notebook, if you've already had one in the past, your notebook's probably over there. If you don't have a notebook and would like one, come and get one. These are free. They're free. All you have to do is use them. And y'all can keep these notebooks here. You can take them home. Yeah, of course. You can take them home. I would recommend, well, if you are going to take notes, obviously I would like you to take it home so you can remember and read. You want one too?
Yes, sir.
All right, here you go.
Thank you.
All right, and pens stay here though. Don't take my cheap pens. I'm going to come and hunt you down if you take my cheap pens. Okay. Are y'all ready for this? Are we ready? Are we ready? Are we ready?
Yes. No, we're not.
You know what I haven't done in a while I need to do? I need to post some more reels of our lessons, like the highlights. Yeah. No.
Post the herpes.
Yes. No. All right, anyway. So here is the 6 questions, the 6 worldview questions. Here is how an atheist would answer these questions, okay? So we're going to go through these pretty quick so we can get to the main juicy bits of what atheists believe, all right? The first question, a worldview question, is the question of who am I? If you're an atheist, you would answer that question by saying, I am an advanced animal living on the planet Earth. If you believe there is no God, then the best you can say about humans is that we're just animals. We're just animals, part of the animal kingdom, and we just happen to get lucky and we evolved far enough to where we are on the top of the food chain. But in atheism, you are nothing more than an animal, an advanced one, that just lives on this speck of dust called Earth. That's who you are. There is nothing greater than that. And we're going to come to this later, but that really is the end of it. You don't have value beyond that. If there is no God. If there is no God. The second question is, where did I come from? And according to atheism, you came from a combination of the Big Bang, maybe you all have heard of this in your science class, if you haven't because you weren't paying attention, and evolution. So the Big Bang is how apparently the universe got here, and evolution is how life started and changed and got to the point of being humans. So an atheist would say you came from the Big Bang and evolution, both of which happened on their own. No God did it. There's natural processes that randomly happen, and one day here comes the universe, and then a long time later here comes life. The third question is, what is my purpose? As I said before, if you're an atheist, there is no ultimate purpose. You make your own. If you're an atheist, then you believe that all humans are as animals. Well, there is no God giving you a purpose. There is no being beyond yourself that has a future for you. You don't have anything to look forward to other than just surviving. Whatever purpose you want to invent for yourself to make yourself feel valuable, go ahead, but it's all made up. So far, does this sound like a view that would really get somebody excited for life? No. But there are a lot of people who identify as atheists. And can I tell you something personally, and I'm going to make this claim now and I'm going to prove it later. Most of the atheist people that I've known in my life are very sad people. I'm not exaggerating. I'm saying in my life, you say, well, Tyler, I know an atheist who's like always happy. Let me be honest with you. Most atheist people that I know have severe problems with depression, anger. They tend to really take that anger out on Christians specifically.
Yes.
And they always have a chip on their shoulder. Well, can I tell you right up front, if you believe that humans have no value, we have no purpose, that's going to affect how you live life. Your beliefs affect how you live. Did y'all know that? What you believe determines how you behave. And so these are just the first 3 questions, and so far we can see if a person really believes these things, how it could affect their mind and their life. Well, let's go on to the last 3 questions and how an atheist would answer them. The fourth one is, why is the world the way it is? When we look around the world, we see a lot of death, chaos, violence, evil. Why is the world that way? Well, if you're an atheist, you would say it's survival of the fittest. Maybe y'all have heard this term before. Survival of the fittest. Meaning, the best, strongest, brightest, most intelligent animals survive and the dumb, weak ones die. That's life. That's the end of it. The world is chaotic and violent because nature is chaotic and violent. People kill and murder because it gives them an advantage, just like animals do. They kill and murder because it gives them an advantage. So there is no sin that caused the world to be a bad place. That's just nature. We're just animals killing each other for resources just like other animals do. That's life. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the world. It just is the way it is. It is what it is. That's the belief. This next question is, well, what can you do about it? Okay, the world's evil, it's chaotic, it's violent because of nature. Well, then the question is, what can I do about it? An atheist would say, just simply enjoy life and survive as long as possible. And maybe, maybe if they're feeling a little bit optimistic, they'll say, well, maybe we can trust in science to make life a little better. Maybe we make some cool inventions. Maybe we can live longer, Star Wars or something. Maybe that's the best hope we have, is maybe we can have enough technology to allow us to live forever one day. But that's about it. The purpose of life, what can we do to fix the world? Just, I don't know, try to survive and enjoy your life. And maybe one day science can allow us to live forever. But we're still going to be killing each other, so, there's that. Okay, and then the last question. Where will I go when I die? Well, if you're an atheist, you don't believe in God, so you also don't believe in heaven or hell. So according to an atheist, where you go when you die, you go to the dirt. There is no afterlife. Wow. Once you die, you're gone. It's like the TV turns off. It just goes black. There's nothing beyond that. You're just dead. You're gone. There's no trace of you that will be left behind. You don't have a soul. You don't have an immortal body. You don't go to any place. You just die. You go back to the dirt. Your body gets decomposed. Maybe some worms will eat it. And that's it. That's your life.
Wow.
Okay. Yes?
Well, do atheists also believe in ghosts?
If an atheist believes in a ghost, then they're a hypocrite, because that don't make any sense.
That's what I was about to say, because if you don't believe in souls, then how are there ghosts?
Exactly. So an atheist wouldn't believe in a ghost. But I don't believe in ghosts either. I believe in demons. I don't believe in ghosts. All right, anyway, another conversation. But anyway, so this is how an atheist would answer these 6 questions. If you don't believe me, go and ask an atheist. Ask them these exact questions and see how they answer it. And tell me if it's significantly different than anything that I wrote. So I want you to know, when I put these questions and how underlined belief would answer it, I'm not making up what they would say. I'm actually researching what that religion or belief is, and I'm filling in the blanks based upon what they say themselves. Okay, so I don't want you to think I'm making this up. And so if you can go and ask if you have an atheist friend or somebody you know, ask them these exact 6 questions and see how they answer them. And and tell them, be honest with me now, don't lie to me. Tell me what you really believe and see how they answer it if you don't believe me. But you can do this in any religion that we talk about in this series. Okay, so now that we've kind of answered these main 6 questions of life, now we need to get into the main 3 beliefs that atheists have and how you as a Christian can respond to those beliefs and hopefully give them answers that will help them to rethink what they believe. Okay? The first thing, important thing that atheists believe is they will tell you that life is nothing but a complete accident. Life is nothing but a complete accident. Okay, starting from the beginning, you guys should have at least heard of the Big Bang Theory by this point. All of y'all. Okay? At least heard of it. I'm not saying you got to believe it, and I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying you should at least have heard of it. Now, the Big Bang Theory, for those who don't know, like Malia, because she keeps shaking her head like she's never heard of it. Okay, maybe you haven't. All right. The Big Bang Theory, let me simplify it. It's the belief that about 13.8 billion years ago, yes, billion, that's with the B, not with the M, billion years ago, there was an explosion. 13.8 billion years ago, the universe, Earth, the planets, everything in it did not exist as we know it today. And about 13.8 billion years ago, some sort of force or explosion or expansion occurred, and then all of time, space, and matter was created in an instant moment. And from that point forward, the universe and everything in it, and all these elements and matter and everything else you can imagine, started expanding from that point. And as it's expanding over hundreds of thousands and millions of years, some of this matter comes together and forms planets, and other matter gets together and forms stars, and other matter forms this. Y'all get the picture, right? And over billions of years of expansion, eventually, Earth is created about 4.5 billion years ago. Okay? And it's just a ball of hot magma, but then it cools down eventually. And then it forms this crust. And then millions and millions and millions of years later, you eventually get to the point of life being created. Somehow or another, life is made, and then from that point, you have millions and millions and millions of years of evolution, which is life changing. So life starts as this little bitty piece of bacteria in an ocean, and then over millions of years, it turns into a fish, and then the fish figures out how to get on land, and the land animals grow legs, and then now you have all this animal life, and then so far down the line, eventually you get to humans, where it was really, really advanced versions of monkeys, basically. Now, that's simplifying it, all right? I could go into a lot more scientific detail, but I'm going to simplify it for you, okay? That's the belief. Now, here's the thing. If you're an atheist, you say there's no God, then the atheist would say that in terms of like what caused the Big Bang? What caused the universe to start? Well, they would tell you, we don't know. It was some kind of accident. We don't know how it exploded or what caused it to expand, but it did. It was an accident. There is no God who did it. The universe, well, I guess you can't say universe because the universe didn't exist, but it just did it on its own. And then in terms of life, when life started in the universe, they'll tell you the same thing. It was an accident. A freak concoction of chemicals and all this stuff just led to the right conditions to create the first cell. We just got lucky, and that first cell, due to a series of evolutions over time, became more advanced animals, and the animals became this, and then now we have us. Everything is an accident. There's no God directing it. There's no God in control of it. There's no God who did anything. It was all a giant cosmic mistake, an accident. Now, do y'all see how many steps and billions of years and random accidents have to occur in order for somebody to not believe in a God? Right? Because if an atheist was to tell you, hey, I don't believe in a God, then you say, well, where do you think everything came from? They say, oh, it's always existed. Like humans have just always existed. The earth has always existed. Space has always existed. Wouldn't that kind of sound like ridiculous in your mind? Like, how has humanity always existed? And we're still this dumb. Like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Everybody has to believe our universe came from somewhere. Okay, you got a question?
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask, even if it was just an accident, wouldn't there still have to be something to make it?
We're going to get to that. But according to the atheist position, okay, life did begin, but it began this many millions of years ago by mistake. And the universe did begin, but it began this many billions of years ago by an accident. That's the belief. Now, the question is that a convincing answer? If somebody simply tells you a Big Bang occurred, and here's what happened after it exploded, you know what I'm wanting to know the answer to? I don't care about what happened after the bang. I want to know what caused the bang. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If there was no time, there was no space, and there was no matter, meaning physical material, before the Big Bang happened, then what exploded? Nothing. So how can nothing explode? I don't know about y'all. Last time I checked, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? In order for something to get moved or exploded, something has to cause that. It's cause and effect. Nothing does not produce something. Do y'all get this? So that doesn't make any sense by itself. Nothing exploded or expanded somehow. We don't know how that happened, but now we know how. Guys, that doesn't check out. Like, just logically speaking. And here's what's funny. I was actually watching a video on this science YouTube channel, and they were trying to make this little video explaining the Big Bang. And it was 5 minutes long, which frankly was too long for me in this listening to this, because he spent 5 minutes talking about once the Big Bang occurred, then this happened, then that happened, then that happened. The entire video was not explaining how the Big Bang happened. It was explaining what happens after the Big Bang. He was avoiding the actual question. And then at the very end of the video, like the last 20 seconds, and it's like a British guy speaking. Then he finally gets to the actual question of the video. He says, according to science, we may never know the answer to what caused the Big Bang. All of the laws of nature as we know them begin to break down when we go far enough back in time. And he says, and time itself begins to get wibbly-wobbly. He said that unironically. Wibbly-wobbly. Time itself and measuring it gets wibbly-wobbly. So his conclusion, this 5-minute video of wasting my time, the conclusion was, we don't have a way of knowing what caused the Big Bang, and we never will. All we know is that time got wibbly-wobbly. Okay. Now, let me just ask y'all a personal question. does that sound like science to you? Or does that sound like faith?
Faith.
We're talking about billions of years ago having to believe nothing created everything. And how did it do it? Something, time was wibbly wobbly, so we will never know. But you just got to believe it. I'm sorry, that's not a convincing answer.
It's not.
That's what atheists have to believe.
Sounds like a 4-year-old.
Okay? Now, Carson.
You keep saying the word accident. So do they believe that we are all accidents?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, you have to. If you don't believe in God, you have to believe everything is an accident. There's nothing that did anything on purpose.
Wait, so will they get offended if you go up to them and say you're an accident?
Well, they might, but it wouldn't make any sense because that's what they believe. Okay. So anyway, now here's the deal. Y'all may be thinking this question. Let me answer this really quickly. Where did they come up with that number, 13.8 billion years? Y'all have ever thought about that? How do they know? Like, okay, humanity has only been around for like 6,000 years?
Yeah.
Like recorded history?
Yeah.
Where do they get the number 13.8 billion? How do they come up with that? Here's how they came up with it. It's actually kind of simple. So, we have these telescopes that look out into space. Y'all know this? Y'all know that? That's a thing? Okay? And scientists have observed every year that some of the constellations in the night sky move. They move. Now, I don't mean like moving because the Earth is turning. I mean like they're actually getting further apart. They can measure the distance. And so they're saying, okay, it seems like every couple of years, these constellation stars seem to be getting further apart, meaning the universe seems to be expanding. So however far it moves apart, how many years do you have to go back in order to get everything at one point? And they estimated 13.8 billion. Does that make sense?
No.
They're taking how much it's separating each year, and they're trying to go backwards to get it to where everything comes down to one point.
That's a lot of
And in order to get to that one point, it would take 13.8 billion years of everything shrinking, going backwards in time. Huh?
Do the speed of how the Earth moves?
Well, no, the Earth itself is moving further away
I know, but did they
from other.
take the speed on how fast it was moving to get an actual estimated?
You mean like they made sure that the speed of the Earth moving wasn't interfering with seeing the other things? Okay, anyway, Caitlin, you're making this really complicated. Most of the people in this room are going to have a hard time. I'm tracking with what you're asking, but I don't want to get too... I think so, unless you don't know what you're asking.
I know what I'm asking.
Okay, hey, anyway, let's keep it simple. It's too many rabbit trails. We don't have enough time for this. Okay, listen. Okay, so listen. So they say universe is expanding, therefore, there must have been a point where it all came together. And that probably took about 13.8 billion. That's their estimate. Okay, now let me give the Christian response to this belief. Let me give the Christian response to this belief. Here it is. God intentionally, meaning on purpose, created all things. Yes, God created all things. Now in Genesis 1 verse 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. From a Christian perspective, y'all need to hear this, the idea of a Big Bang itself is not incompatible with believing in God. Because the atheists don't know what caused a bang or an explosion or an expansion. But can I tell y'all, we have an answer. God did. God, who exists outside of time, space, and matter, caused an explosion of time, space, and matter. Remember how I said how it makes no sense to say nothing created everything? How can nothing create everything? Something outside of time, space, and matter has to create those things. The reason atheists can't tell you how the Big Bang started is because they don't have an answer for what something that exists outside of time, space, and matter is that created the Big Bang. You know why? Because the answer is actually God. God is the only being that exists outside of time, space, and matter. So in order to say something created a Big Bang, that something has to exist outside of those things. I feel like I'm getting a little complicated now. All right, point is, there's no way to explain the origin of physical material and saying physical material created physical material. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was to ask Hannah, how were you born? How did you come to exist? If you unironically said, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I created myself. we would all say you're delusional, right? You can't create yourself. That's not possible. At one point in time, you did not exist. Something outside of you had to act to create you. Okay? This is birds and the bees stuff, all right? Two people that were not Hannah had to do things to create Hannah. All right, I'm done. But you can't create yourself. In the same way, listen, in the same way that you cannot create yourself because you didn't exist before you existed, listen, matter cannot create itself. Time cannot create itself. Space cannot create itself. Something outside of it has to create it. The only thing outside of physical universe is God Himself. He's not made of matter. He's not made of time. He's not made of space. He's an immaterial being. Eternally existing, no beginning and no end. It's the only explanation that makes any sense. Okay, so we believe, hey, God created the heavens and the earth, and He did so because He wanted to. He didn't do it for no reason. He didn't do it by mistake. It wasn't like God is just hanging out going, snapping His fingers, and all of a sudden He actually created an entire universe with life in it. God doesn't do anything by accident or mistake. So God does things on purpose. And in fact, there's actually a really interesting verse that I want to read to y'all real quick. It's Isaiah chapter 40, verses 21 and 22. Remember how I told y'all atheists believe the universe is expanding? And therefore, if you go backwards in time, eventually it comes to a point. I want y'all to hear what the Bible says about this, because it wasn't until the last 100 years that scientists observed the universe expanding. But I want y'all to listen to this Bible verse that was written a couple thousand years ago and see what it says. It says, "Have you not known? Have you not heard? And has it not been told to you from the beginning? And have you not understood who made the foundations of the earth?" Listen to the answer. "It is God that sits upon the face of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof," meaning me and you, "are like grasshoppers to Him." We're so small compared to God, right? Listen to what it says next. "And He stretches out the heavens." The heavens is another word for space in the Bible. God stretches out the universe as a curtain and spreads it out as a tent to dwell in. The Bible was already on this idea of the universe being stretched out thousands of years before modern science made that discovery. And then atheists are really going to be saying, we don't know how the Big Bang started. Can I tell you? I do know how. God, who simply can speak and things come into existence, spoke. And He called light and matter and time and energy into existence in a moment and then began to stretch it out. In the Bible, the fact that the Bible, guys, was saying this thousands of years before your science teachers even existed, shouldn't that mean we should be taking the Bible a little more seriously? That, hey, maybe God and His Word actually has something to say about science, that maybe it's actually ahead of time on science? So listen, that in terms of the Big Bang and the universe expanding, guys, listen, that I think part of those things are true. I wouldn't personally say that I think it was billions of years ago, because listen, God's God. He speaks and in an instant things happen. God doesn't need billions of years. He doesn't need to wait around for things to happen. He's God. But if we could go back and watch when God began creating the heavens and the earth, space and the earth, if we could go back and watch it with our own eyes, to us, it probably would look like massive explosions of light, massive explosions of matter being pulled together and stretched out quickly. It probably would look freaking crazy to us. I don't want to say the word freaking. That's a bad word. All right. Hey, don't cuss in my Christian Minecraft server. Those are cuss words. All right, anyway. Old joke. All right, anyway. But point is, the Bible already seems to indicate that God is doing this thousands of years before scientists even know that's what's going on in the universe. And I want to read real quickly Romans chapter 1, verse 18 through 20. And for each of these points, by the way, we're going to be reading in Romans the same passage of Scripture. We're each little couple verses here are going to go with each of these points I'm going to make. And you're going to see how, because Romans chapter 1 is talking about the issue of people looking at the world and denying that there is a creator. It's actually talking about that exact thing. And so Romans chapter 1 is a really good passage of Scripture to read and know when talking with an atheist friend, because it can help you to understand their mind and where they're coming from according to God. Okay, so let me get that. Romans chapter 1, verse 18 through 20. And here's what it says. It says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. Because that which may be known about God is already made manifest." It's already made obvious. Y'all hear what he's saying? God and His existence is already obvious. And it says, "Because God has showed it unto us. For the invisible things of God from the creation of the world are clearly seen." Guys, when you look at a painting, I don't know if y'all have ever seen a real painting before, all right? If you've ever looked at a painting that you thought, man, this is beautiful, how did the person do this? Or maybe you haven't looked at a painting, maybe you have some friend who's like really good at drawing, and you're like, man, how did you do that? And you look at this drawing, does any part of your brain go, ha, that just came out of nowhere one day by accident? No, you look at a drawing and you know somebody did that. That took skill, that took effort. Some creative mind had to make that. When you look at some of these beautiful Texas sunsets we get, is your mind going, yeah, that was all random chance? Or is your mind going, only a God could have done that? Only a creator could have created this. Y'all see what I'm saying? So God has revealed Himself to all people by the very creation that we see every day. Every person knows deep down that God is real. We can say we don't believe in Him and act like children and be like, nuh-uh, I don't believe in God. You can't tell me what to believe. We can say that. But what do we know? We know that every great work of art has an artist who made it. And we know that there are some sunsets more beautiful than any painting could ever possibly recreate. We know there's a God. The question is, are we going to accept that there's one, or are we going to live in rejection of Him? The atheist says, I'm going to live in rejection of that God. I don't want to believe in Him. Okay? So I understand from the Bible, from God's perspective, that's what's going on in the hearts of a person who says, I don't believe. There's a spiritual problem in their life. They don't want to believe in God. Now, there may be a lot of reasons. I want y'all to hear me out. If I personally knew a couple of atheists in high school, that they annoyed the fire out of me. They were always looking to stir the pot. They were rude, constantly saying ignorant things. But can I tell you this? There are atheists out there. There are people that are atheists, not because of all the evidence, but because of the way that they've been treated by other people. Maybe they've been hurt really deeply by a Christian friend. Like, you know what, if that's what God's people act like, I don't want anything to do with God. There are some people out there that are like that. There are some people that are atheists not because of the evidence, but because of what has happened to them in life. Guys, I can tell you stories of people that are Christian today, but earlier in their life they were atheists because something tragic happened, and they're like, how could a good God allow this to happen? I can't believe a God exists if this kind of evil happens in the world. And so for a period of their life, they would say, I don't believe in God because how can a loving God exist while all this evil around me is happening? There's a lot of people who are atheists, not because of the science, but because of personal, spiritual reasons. So y'all got to understand that. Okay? You got to understand that. According to God, atheism is not a matter of science. It's a matter of the person's spirit. Where are they at? How are they doing inside? There's something spiritual going on because God has made Himself known through His own creation. It's obvious that He exists. So why would a person come to the point of saying, I'm not going to believe in God? I don't believe in God. It's not just the science. That's what the Bible's telling us up front. Okay, now I will tell you all right now, we're not going to have time to finish all of this tonight. So I'm not going to try to fit it all in tonight because then we'd be here for an extra 30 minutes, all right? So I'm going to go on to the next point, and then we're going to leave the final thing for next week. Are y'all good with that?
What about Sunday?
No, I like it on Wednesdays because some people don't come on Sundays, and I want to have us all, Okay, anyway, so that's the truth. So let's go to the next part. Let's go to the next thing that atheists believe, and let's give a response to it. Belief number 2, they believe that evolution is a proven fact. They will say, straight face, if you don't believe in evolution, you deny science. You deny science.
Okay,
This is the part where a lot of classroom issues come about between Christians and those who teach evolution. All right? I've heard of some things going on. Wink, wink. Okay? So now here's the question. Some of y'all have probably heard of the theory of evolution. Maybe some of you could accurately tell me what it even is. I would be willing to guess probably most of y'all couldn't actually explain it very well. But I'm going to give one of y'all a shot anyway. All right. I need somebody here to tell me in very simple terms, what is the theory of evolution? What does it teach?
I'll try my best.
Okay?
come from fish.
I literally
On.
just searched this up.
Oh, yeah?
I got you.
Okay, well, Caleb had his hand first, so I'll give him a shot. Caleb, tell us what evolution is. What does evolution teach?
Evolution is basically the teaching that we were like a little atom, then we became like a little fishy, into frogs, then into like intelligent monkeys. I don't know why.
Intelligent monkeys, yeah.
And then over time, we developed alphabets, words, became more intelligent.
And then now here you are, you monkey. Here you are, you little monkey. All right, what? I mean, do you think did you hear him?
Yes.
Okay, do you think, oh, you're going to add, okay. Okay, you're an evolution expert, yeah?
Oh crap, it just slipped my mind. It's like how stop. How trying to explain now. We just learned about this. and
I
I'm
know.
so mad.
You're the one learning about it. Come on now. I mean, Caleb, okay, listen, Caleb pretty much explained it.
Right? I mean, except like, see, people still believe that we are still evolving from like animals, and that we're all like related to one, like all related.
That's what I was looking for. If you could simplify it in the simplest way possible, it's to believe that all life on planet Earth, y'all listen, all life on planet Earth came from a single ancestor millions and millions of years ago. That dogs, cats, polar bears, zebras, kangaroos, jellyfish, y'all get the idea? And you, all life, can go back to one point, some unknown millions of years ago, where the first cell somehow was created. And again, like talking about how the universe was created, they'll say a Big Bang happened, but we don't know how it happened. They say the same thing with evolution. Well, life was created, but we don't know how. Like somehow a cell formed, but we don't know how that happened. Somehow there was no life, but then there was life. But then there was, though. No explanation as to how it's possible. Guys, and I'm not exaggerating. You look up on YouTube, you can go to Google, you can go to your science textbooks, and you look at how atheists try to explain the Big Bang, they'll say, we don't know what caused it. You look at evolution textbooks and how they explain how evolution started. They'll say, we don't know what caused life. It's always we don't know. Because the actual answer is an answer they don't want to give. There has to be something outside of life that created life. There has to be something outside the universe that created the universe. They don't want to say it, but it's God. Okay. Now, so they say evolution is a proven fact. And you know what they'll do is they'll go, okay, for instance, y'all pay, we're almost done. They'll go, okay, you know how there's a lot of different breeds of dogs, right? Yeah. You got pit bulls, you got German shepherds, you got chihuahuas, the worst. And then you got mixes like our dog Shay. That I meant to say me and Shay's dog Luna, and that just like got completely butchered coming out. No, okay. Hey, no, separate conversation. Okay, focus. Luna is like a mix of like other breeds. We don't even know what she is, honestly. And so you have these different breeds. Now, let me ask you this question. Y'all listen. Do y'all think that evolutionists have a point when they say that clearly, have all these breeds always existed? Or have these breeds been created over time? They've been created over time. Meaning that if you go far back enough in time, y'all think about other things that are similar to dogs. You got like wolves, coyotes, foxes, things that are, I didn't say that are dogs, I said are similar to dogs.
They look the same.
You're going to sit here and tell me that a wolf is not a canine?
A wolf and a, what's it called, a coyote, yes, but not no fox.
Okay, fine. Ignore fox. Wolves, coyotes, jackals, hyenas, house dogs. Can we see how these are similar, right? But they're different. At some point, there's different species and different breeds that are created. But if you go back far enough in time, maybe they all have a common, like, great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa. And then through a lot of time, there's like slightly different versions. Just like think about humans for a second. Do all humans look the same? No. You have different ethnicities, different skin colors, hair colors, eye colors. But, hey, we all come from Adam and Eve, right? But over time, humanity can change. New features and hair colors and skin colors can emerge. Okay, so is it true then that there is some kind of evolution that happens, some kind of change that happens? Yeah. But here's what that's called. Y'all need to know this. If you want to talk with your teachers and have a good conversation, here's what you need to know. Small changes that we can actually see and observe, that's called microevolution. Small evolution. That means different breeds of dogs, different breeds of cats, different species under a certain kind of animal, which the scientific term is genus. So wolves, coyotes, dogs, those are they have a genus, the similar kind of animal. Just like polar bears, black bears, brown bears, all of those bears are under the same genus. Okay? And then monkeys. There's so many different kinds of monkeys. You got baboons, you got chimpanzees, you can just go on and on. They're under the same genus. They're the same basic kind of animal. And if you go far enough back in time, you start with one, or actually two, you got male and female, and then you can have all these different breeds and species under that genus. But let me ask you all this question, though. We can see how there's different kinds of monkeys and different kinds of dogs. Cats. My gosh, you have a little small house cat and then you have a massive lion. It's like a huge difference, right? Will you ever see a cat produce a dog, though? No. Will you ever see dog breeds producing a rat? No. Okay. So let me ask this question then. If we would say, it is absurd to say that a canine, the genus here of all these dog breeds, would ever create something that's a completely different kind of animal, that's stupid, obviously that would never happen, then why is it intelligent if we just add billions of years to that process? So we all know small changes happen. We can see that with our own two eyes. Nobody's doubting that. That part of evolution is true. Y'all need to hear it from me. That's true. It literally is observed. What we're disagreeing about is evolutionists say all of the different kinds of animals all come from the same spot, the same starting point. The bears, the canines, the felines, all of them come from some unknown aquatic bacteria hundreds of millions of years ago that then evolved into all this life we see today. That's the part, y'all listen, that's the part of evolution that is not scientific, because there's no evidence for different kinds of animals producing a completely separate kind. Y'all tracking with me on this? Dogs produce things that look like dogs. Bears produce things that look like bears. Horses, zebras, like zebras, donkeys, giraffes, they all in your mind, you're they're kind of like the same thing, but they look different. Those things will never produce a kangaroo. Okay? Different kinds of animals, different genuses, classifications are going to stay within that classification. And y'all need to hear this. The Bible has something to say about that too. Yep. The Bible has something to say about that too. So they say evolution proves a fact, and here's the truth. Big changes of kinds, we all have the same answer. That's not science. That's theory. That's faith. Small changes in small species and breeds, that's the fact. Christians don't disagree with that. We disagree that everything comes from a single ancestor 100, 200, 300, whatever, how many millions of years ago they want to say. So here's the truth. Evolution is a theory, not a scientific fact. Y'all need to hear it from me. Because some of y'all have teachers that don't teach this accurately. It's okay for them to teach a theory, but they need to tell you it's a theory. And if you have a teacher that acts like the idea that fish turned into something with legs, and that something with legs turned into monkeys, and eventually some breed of species of monkey turned into us, and they say that's a fact, you need to look them straight in the face and say, you're a liar. There is no credible scientist who says evolution, as it is taught in your textbook, is 100% a scientific fact. It is a theory. It is a guess. Just like our belief in God, that He created the heavens and the earth, that is a theory. Can I go back in time to when God created the heavens and the earth? Can I prove that? Do I have video camera footage of God creating? Or do I have to believe it? I have to believe it, right? The Bible talks about faith. Okay, I'm just saying evolution also is an act of faith. You have to believe these things. It's not just a fact. In the Bible, in Genesis chapter 6, this is when God is about to flood the earth. Y'all know the story of Noah's Ark, right? Okay, and God tells Noah, He says, I need you to have 2 of every kind of animal on the ark. He didn't say, I need you to have 2 of every species. Because that would mean you have to have thousands of different kinds of dogs, thousands of different kinds of cats, thousands of different kinds of horse. Y'all see the problem? Then Noah's supposed to have what? A 2 billion animals on the ark? Like, how's that supposed to work? But God didn't say, I'm going to give you 2 of every species, 2 of every breed. He says, I want you to have 2 of every kind. I need you to have 2 things that are like dogs. I need you to have 2 things that are like cats. I need you to have 2 things that are like horses. I need you to have 2 things that are birds. Why? Because God, who created all life on the earth, knows that those basic kinds of animals, after the flood's over, will go on to produce all the different species. You don't need 2 of every species. You just need 2 of the basic kind. You need 2 of that genus in order to produce after the flood. God knows what He's talking about. Again, before science comes up with these classifications of genus and species and all this, God was already organizing and classifying animals. 2 of every kind, 2 of every genus. Y'all see how I'm saying the Bible is ahead of time on these things? And scientists don't give it credit for it anymore? Okay, so even way back, thousands of years ago, God's about to destroy all life on the earth. God says 2 of every kind. That's all you need. All the other life, all the other species and breeds are going to be created just from the 2. Just from the male and the female. That's all you need. You just need a male and a female dog. That's all you need. And you're going to have wolves, coyotes, hyenas, jackals, everything else that's going to come later. All you need is 2. Y'all see what I'm saying? So again, as Christians, we can believe that there is small change. We can believe in microevolution. We see that happening. What we don't agree in or believe in is the idea that all life started in the ocean. And then fish grew legs. Okay, that's why I have that little anime. If y'all saw the poll, the fish walking with legs. That's how ridiculous the theory really is. It's like, okay, fish grow legs. Well, that can't happen. Well, one fish has a fish. That fish can't have legs. But if you add 1 billion years to it, then all of a sudden it's supposed to make sense?
Doubt it.
Doubt it. Doubt. Press X to doubt. Caitlin.
Okay, you said, did you say there were no, multiple, species?
What?
Of,
No, I said there is a lot of different
the
species and
dogs,
breeds.
Different breeds of dogs?
Yeah.
Back in Noah's time, was there different breeds?
There probably was. But again, only a male and a female of that kind of animal survived.
So does that mean the birds he took was the dove and the raven that he sent out?
I don't know.
That was the only 2 birds, or did he?
Could have been. Could have been. I don't know. All I know is God said 2 of every kind.
Including dinosaurs.
So, and God Himself is the one who brought these animals to Noah, right, to board the ark. So, and that would include dinosaurs, by the way. In case you don't know this, dinosaurs are just really giant lizards. They're just reptiles. Yeah, they are.
That must have been scary. You're just working.
As a matter of fact, what's kind of funny,
And then all of a sudden, a ginormous T-Rex just comes.
hey, hold on, that's a whole other conversation. We don't got time for that. All right, listen, this lesson tonight is not going to answer all the questions. This is why I want y'all to come to me as you think about, as you learn more in class and you hear more information, be like, okay, Tyler, but we learned this thing too. What about that? Hey, Tyler, but what about this? They say dinosaurs millions of years ago because they dated it. And what about that, Tyler? There's a whole lot of things on this subject. I'm just trying to get y'all an introduction, okay? So don't think that because I don't answer it here tonight that I don't have an answer. I do. Come and ask me about it. I'll send you resources and stuff that you can watch and read later. But I want to finish this point number 2 because I want to read this verse. Let's continue our reading in Romans and see what it has to say about people who reject God. Let's see what it says. Romans chapter 1, but now we're in verse 21 through 25. Remember how it said, the first part said people reject God even though He's made Himself obvious? Do y'all remember that part that we read? Okay, now we're continuing. Verse 21, it says, because when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish hearts were darkened. So it's saying that these people who reject God, they have a foolish heart. They started imagining other ideas to replace the idea of God. And it says in verse 22, it says, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Now, I'm going to tell you this, a lot of atheist people, including professors and researchers, they act like they're the smartest people on the planet. They're foolish. According to God, they're foolish. They may think themselves to be the most genius people to ever walk the earth. But according to God, they're foolish. Can I tell y'all a little fun tidbit? Almost every single branch of science that you study in school, chemistry, mathematics is related to science, biology, all of these branches of science, I don't know if y'all know this, you probably don't because your teachers don't tell you this. Almost every single branch of science was started by a Christian. You're like, what? No way. That has to be like made up, Tyler. No, it's not. In fact, the person who led the effort to study the human body and map out the human genetics, the human genome, was a Christian neuroscientist. Guys, Christians have been in the scientific fields since it was created. The idea that Christians don't believe in science is absurd. Okay? Science is not something that actually will lead you away from God when you're honest with it. So don't let somebody, because they have a degree, because they wrote your textbook and they're telling you that believing in God is silly, or because your teacher who got a degree is telling you that evolution is a fact and you can't question it, just because they have a PhD does not mean that they are wise. It doesn't mean that they always know what they're talking about or that they're always telling you the truth. Okay, so I want y'all to hear that from me. So God says they're foolish, and it says in verse 23, and they changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image or an idol that was more like corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts and creeping things. Do y'all hear what God just said? That these people who've rejected believing in Him, instead of worshiping God, have actually created animals and made them the thing that we worship. Hello, evolution? God didn't make me, nature did. And millions of years of animals evolving did. I worship evolution. I worship my own beliefs about the world. I don't worship God, I believe in evolution. I don't worship God, I worship science. Again, this was being addressed 2,000 years ago in the Bible. Same problem then as it is today. This isn't new for us as Christians. We should know these things. Okay, but it says, so because of this, verse 24, God gave those people up to sinfulness through the lust in their own heart, to dishonor their bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie. Changed believing that God did it to believing something else. And it says, and worshiped the creature more than the Creator. Guys, the Bible is addressing atheists right here. People who reject God and would rather worship this idea that they evolved. They would rather view their great-great-great-great-great-grandfather as some monkey than believe that God made them. That believe that they have a purpose. They would rather live in this foolish belief than accept the truth that God is the one who made the heavens and the earth and all life within it. So already we are 2 for 2 here, okay? The idea that the Big Bang accidentally happened and created everything doesn't make any scientific sense. You have to have, every effect has to have a cause. Can natural material create natural material, yes or no? Can Hannah create Hannah? No. Something outside of the universe has to create the universe. Okay? So that's point number 1. Point number 2, the idea that evolution is a fact, we just learned it's actually just a theory. The only thing that is factual is small changes, which we can all see with our own 2 eyes. Your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather is not a monkey because Joe Schmo with the PhD said so. According to the Bible, that man is foolish because he's rejecting the truth because he would rather believe something ridiculous to get out of having to believe in and worship God. Okay, now again, this subject, guys, gets so deep. And there's so much small pieces to studying and understanding the theory of evolution. So I'm not trying to get too deep into it, because some of y'all are never going to have these hard conversations with friends and family and teachers. But if y'all are currently learning this in your class, and you come across more information, and you're like, Tyler, what about this thing? Like, I think, Caitlin, you brought up, what about the dinosaur bones, right? They say dinosaurs lived hundreds of millions of years ago. Well, how can we believe that dinosaurs went extinct, but then 2 of every kind of animal was on the ark? How do we make that make sense with our views? There's all kinds of small questions like that I want y'all to come to me about. Because I've studied this stuff for a very long time, and I have other websites and people that you can go and read and watch yourself. Don't just trust me. Okay? So please come to me if you have more questions and thoughts and comments. We're not done with the lesson, though, because we're going to finish it next week. So you got to come back next week for the final point. And by the way, the final point, and I'll go ahead and give you a preview, is they believe right and wrong, morality, is merely a matter of personal opinion. There is no real right and wrong. Isn't that interesting? We want to come to that next week, and we're going to finish on that thought there. Let me see. It's weird. Could you imagine if somebody held a gun to you and shot you and said, well, I personally don't believe this is wrong. And everybody else said, but it is wrong. And then they asked, according to who?
You're pointing the gun right at Kaylee.
I'm pointing the gun at Isaiah, right? Okay, make sure I'm pointing the gun at Isaiah. But we're going to get into that conversation. What atheists believe about right and wrong. It's very different if they're being honest about what they believe. Okay, let me have... What? Well, you don't even know what I was going to ask.
Yeah, you're going to ask somebody to pray.
I am. We'll have Carson say a word of prayer to dismiss us, and then we'll figure... Wait, we're going to play that game after. So Carson, go ahead and pray.
Dear my Father, thank you for this day, thank you for this people in this room for coming, and thank you for the food. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.